This is our Wednesday night channeling, number 199. Let's have a quiet time before we start. As we relax our bodies, let our minds become quiet, and let our thoughts bring their attention to this present moment and this place. Think of this circle as a circle of light that gets brighter and brighter and brighter, and reaches upward to the higher dimensions of divine love and light. Let us feel the presence of those higher beings as they fill this room to overflowing with divine love and light from their presence, and it spreads out and out and out. Let us feel it one with each other and all of life. Let us feel the love that is generated from all life. As we bring our attention to divine love, we become aware that we are love, and that life and love and God are one with us. Thank you, Father. Our class tonight always seems a little different, you know? I wouldn't have thought last week was healing of the planet, and I wouldn't have thought this week was what it is. But the title that came was Life, Incarnate and Discarnate. And it says, the writing says, as you took on a body of flesh for the first time on this planet, your desire is to experience all that the planet offered. You are now at a surface view. Then you could see the larger picture, the picture that builds a strong, solid foundation to support your desire for spiritual heights in the Father's kingdom. As your memory of the reality of your being faded into almost a total physical belief, the patterns of fear grew stronger to support your false belief of what life is all about. Learn to raise your insight above and beyond the physical view. See and understand life as it truly is, and your fears will fade into the nothingness from which they come. Good evening, my dear ones. This is Don, coming to you from these realms of love and light. It is indeed a pleasure to be your doorkeeper and to be here with you and at one with you even in thought. I would start this evening's class by saying that it is difficult for you to keep your thoughts above and beyond the physical, for you do have to support your physical body. You do have to go through many things on your plane that have nothing to do with the reality of life. And it has become a pattern. As you look at the larger picture of your life, as you learn to see above and beyond the physical, the total of your being, you can realize that this is such a small, small part of the total scheme of life, but it is an important part to you at this moment in your growth, for it is what you have chosen to experience, and through these experiences rise above the seeming adversity. I tell you, there is no adversity, only in your minds. The adversity that seems to be is only your thoughts of it. When you can look back through your known history on your planet, you can see that many, many times your lives were very difficult. And just in your recent history, the ones who settled this country, the frontiersmen, the pioneers as you called them, they had life not nearly as easy as you have it now. It was more simple and less complicated, but physically it was more difficult. Every experience that you have has a lesson in it. And I would like for you to think of yourself and your times in the flesh and the times that you were discarnate. Incarnate means that you have incarnated into the physical flesh. And when you graduate from this plane and give up the physical body to go home for a rest on the other dimensions until you come again or decide to do something else, you are considered discarnate from this level. From other levels, this may not be true. But from your point of view, from your way of thinking, you are now incarnate. But I tell you, my dear ones, I would like for you to give more thought to the total reality of your being. I would suggest that you spend some time thinking about life above and beyond the physical. What is it like? How will I relate to it when I reach those other dimensions? What can I do now to make my life on the other dimensions more beautiful, more worthy in the sight of God? My dear ones, you know within your heart that giving up your false beliefs about life because of your relationship to the physical plane is one of the greatest things that you can do to mold and shape your so-called future on other dimensions. As you go through this life, yes, you have to go through the experiences that you have on this plane. But my beloveds, it is how you handle these experiences. It is your motive, it is your moods, your attitudes. All these things fit in to where you are in your soul's growth. Many of you have come far in a short distance of time in this incarnation because you have taken advantage of the higher vibrations that are here at this time. And these vibrations will continue to increase. Also, the changes will increase. And this is where you could be tripped, because life does not stand still. It continues to change. And there are a few brief moments in eternity that seem like years and years and years to you, that life is not so comfortable on these lower levels. Many on your dimension at this time are concerned about their future, about their physical well-being. These thoughts go out into the ethers, and they do have an effect on your plane and on those who are incarnate in every area of life. I tell you, these thoughts can be helped by your sending love to help cancel them out, and just sending love unlabeled, but especially by keeping your thoughts in a loving, constructive, an understanding, a knowing of what life truly is, and not get caught up in the false play that goes on this stage. As you move through this incarnation, the greatest thing that you can do for yourself is to learn to love yourself. And by loving yourself, you're loving God, and you're keeping in contact with that current of life force that flows from the Godhead and from the center of your being. And as this happens, then these false beliefs, these false things that happen on your stage that you call planet Earth do not need to have an effect upon you in an adverse way. You can look through this and see the truth. When you learn to open the inner eye, when you learn to see from within out instead of from without in, then do you understand that all of these things that are happening are necessary for the growth of all concerned. Why are these things happening? Because, my dear ones, all of you collectively have created them. I do not mean just those in this room. I mean the total of the ones who are involved with this planet have created the conditions that you have now on your plane. A few on your plane are very comfortable and are not so concerned about their physical well-being. Most on your plane are, and are concerned about how they will be fed and clothed. You, my dear ones, have food for the day and clothing today and a shelter to go home tonight. There are many on your plane who do not have this. There are many who have placed themselves in this situation through false beliefs about poverty, not knowing who they truly are. But I tell you, my dear ones, they are just as much gods as you are, and of the richest and most wealthy person on this plane in a material way. They are just as much God's. Remember what the Master Teacher said, even as you have done it unto the least of these, you have done it unto me. Remember that he loves all equally. He loves all equally, no matter what their condition, no matter whether they are a Hitler or the greatest saint in the world or whatever. He loves them equally because through the insight of understanding, those who can look above and beyond the physical plane realize that there is no difference because all are fed from the same life force. There is but one life, there is but one God, and you and I and all others are different expressions of this one life. There is no separation. These things I continually say to you, but until they sink into your consciousness to the degree that you can look at your brother and sister and love them just as much as you love anyone else, no matter what they appear to be doing or not doing, until you can do this, you still believe in separation. You still think, well, those people and that race and that country and so forth. My dear ones, you are those people. You are that country. For God is whole and complete and one with all of his creations. As you understand this, not just from the surface view, but from the inner understanding that you have built into your consciousness, then are you a part of the answer instead of a part of the problem. You in this room are the hope of the world and many others like you because you are learning, you are growing, you are moving higher, you are understanding more, and you are learning to put the fears aside, realizing that there is no death. This is the main point in my making the title tonight of Incarnate and Discarnate. There is no difference. It is just that you are wearing this physical flesh, and it is not you. It is just a vehicle that you have brought into being to manifest on this physical plane, to learn through, and you have shut off most of your other senses and live through the five senses. But you in this room and others like you around the world are learning to open up those other senses so that the understanding of the reality of life can come into your conscious awareness so that you can see life not as a drudgery, not as poverty, not as lack, but as one life, whole, complete, and perfect. You are this one life, my dear ones. When you forget this, then do your fears come in? Then do you feel alienated from the others on this planet? This is why it is so important to do something to remember, to keep the memory in front of you. Continue to saturate yourself with the understanding of the truth of life. Continue to understand the reality of your being and realize that there is no lack. There is no lack. I am speaking many negative words to you this evening, but I am speaking on your level, and I want to get these things across to you. When I say life is abundant, you've heard this many times, but when I say to you there is no lack, it sinks in a little deeper, and you have a better understanding, for you have dealt with the negative for so long. I do not mean to be negative. I mean to help you to understand who you truly are, help you to remember this. You first have to have the faith to make a beginning. All in this room have made a beginning. You've had the faith. You've come back many times to this circle and to other classes, and have gone to other places to learn, and you are learning. As you get some evidence that maybe there is something to life beyond the physical, maybe there is something to life eternal, then you start believing. And as you learn to demonstrate your faith and your belief, then you know. The knowing is important. I would be amiss to say that any of you keep your knowing completely in front of you at all times. But there are times through your day that you do remember to know. There are times when you forget and allow the false beliefs to come in and allow a little fear here and a little fear there. As you remember, as you continue to know, without deviation, then let me put it another way that the Master put it. He said, if thine eye be single to the glory of God, thine whole body shall be filled with light. And this is what he meant. If you keep your knowing of who you truly are in front of you, in your consciousness, in your conscious awareness, at every moment, then your eye is single. It does not deviate. It does not have the duality of the two eyes on the physical plane. It is single to the glory of God, knowing the truth, and this fills your whole being with light, divine light. And if you can hold this for a certain length of what you think of as time, then can you ascend from this physical plane without going through the experience you call death. You have heard of some who have done this just as your master teacher did it. He even allowed himself to be killed in a physical sense, his body to be killed, and then rose it from the dead, and then ascended into pure light and pure spirit, and took his physical body with him. There are others who have ascended. I do not know of any who have arisen from the death on their own. There is a story of the Master bringing Lazarus from the dead, but the Master Teacher brought himself from the experience of death and then ascended to the higher dimensions. This is possible for you. This is your goal. It is not necessary that you do this from the physical, but it is necessary, my dear ones, for you to be free of these lower dimensions, that you learn the lessons that you have created for yourself, that you understand the real truth of life to the degree that you no longer need to come back to this plane. There will be some in this circle that will have this experience. When you go through the experience you call death and that we call graduation, you and your teachers and the lords of karma will get together and discuss your progress and your plans, and there will be a few who decide that they need not come back to the physical. And of course, that depends on what you do with the rest of your incarnation this time. And if you continue to grow, as some of you have, if you continue to expand in your awareness and allow yourself to reach higher and higher through holding on to the understanding that you intellectually know until it becomes a deep inner understanding that then is built into your consciousness. And that understanding and you are one, and you never depart from it. This is not easy, but it is possible. And it depends on your desire and how strong your desire is to be free. How much do you want to be free of these lower dimensions? When you would speak to this of most on your planet, they would think of the word death, and not knowing that there is anything else but the physical, they would have fear. I tell you, my dear ones, when you go through the door that you call death, that we call graduation, it is a glorious experience, a glorious step upward to the path that leads higher and higher. When you know this, then you need not have any fears. Your teacher in the physical has told you that all fears, that fear is the only problem that you have on the planet, and all fears are traceable to the fear of death or fear of lack. And when you can release this fear of death and lack, and they both mean the same thing, whether it is the lack of food or money or the lack of physical life for your body. When you can release this and know within the deepest part of your being that God dwells there, and you and God are one, and always have been, are now, and always will be. Yes, these are basic things again, but they are very, very important to your daily living. It is very important that you understand divine love, unconditional love, This is the key that frees you from all fear. And when you use this key, first with yourself, and then with all other life, no matter what it appears to be, then are you free from judgment. Then are you free from criticism, even of yourself. And you allow others to be whatever they are, realizing that they are doing the best that they can at the moment, and giving them the freedom in your mind to be whatever they are. Then you are free of your negative thoughts about them, and this includes the whole planet and everything on it. Some of you get upset about the political situation. I should not restrict it to this room. Some on this planet, I should say, get upset about the political situation, about the economy, about this or that, or whether they will have food tomorrow. I tell you, my dear ones, the spiritual food is so much important than physical food. And when you learn to understand this and realize that as you feed your soul, as you feed the inner self, then the outer self will automatically be taken care of. But when you starve your soul by not giving enough attention to love, to divine love, to loving yourself, and learning what divine love and unconditional love truly is, learning to know the truth of life and applying it in your every thought, word, and deed. As you master yourself, then you master life, because you are life. And the only one that you really need to be concerned about is you, because you cannot change others. You can send them God's love, but you should release them immediately to God and think no more about them, or conditions or situations. But you see, you are the only one that you can do anything about. And when you master this physical persona that you have built up over many lifetimes and bring it into alignment with the divine laws of life, then you are free to be whatever you decide to be, because then you have dominion over this world and everything and every condition in it for yourself, not for others, but for yourself. Let us pause at this time and give you an opportunity to add your 2 cents, as the slang words go, and to speak of what you would like to hear. Maybe you're a little tired of hearing these basic truths. Maybe you want to hear of something more about life. But I tell you, my dear ones, until you learn to add and subtract, you do not divide and multiply, as you know. And the basic truths of understanding that God is love and that you are made from the substance of love. This is the first step to moving higher in your soul's growth. Are there questions or comments that you would make this evening?
I've had an interesting experience. I fell 3 times this month, and I was sent to the doctor, and it was said I have Parkinson's disease. But you know, it didn't upset me at all because I don't believe in it. I had the symptoms of it, yeah, because I must have had for somewhere along the way. But I felt better since after the diagnosis, and a lot of things. For instance, you know that the man who is channeling says that we should think in pictures and feelings. So I started that, and you know, I must have ignored the business of the words and language, because since I did that, I can't spell, and I haven't been able to until I realized that I was not loving the word and not loving the language, because that is kind of like our Father that leads us into what comes next. And I've been trying to think in pictures, and think in feelings, and think in sweeping pictures, and think of all the people you see crowding around and in these awful meetings where their faces are all contorted and everything. And I've been picturing God is like shining through those faces, all of them, just like the stream of light, and their faces smoothing out, and their eyes becoming alert and focused and beautiful, beautiful, all of them beautiful. And then I started in sweeping pictures, covering the whole U.S., covering all the planet, everywhere. And I was thinking that light, I guess, travels about 136 or 26,000 miles a minute, and I was thinking that so was the thought going that way, and in every direction from that far out and beyond that, and everyone was love. There was just love. People really knew love. And another thing I want to tell you, I went to have today. I went out with my friend, and I got to this car, and she said something, I don't know what, but it wasn't about what I was thinking. And I said, I missed my medicine, so I went back after it. And then we went to a lunch, and we always order a great big one because it's enough for about 4 people. And they have these huge club sandwiches. So I said, now look, I was telling myself all along, I'm not using any negative thinking. But I said, don't burn it, because it's been burned before. I don't want it burned. Well, you know, the sandwich came back. The sides were burned, but it was the best club sandwich we'd ever had.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I don't know. God has answered me very, very much. Everything. But I've asked for that. I've asked for it. But I have spent almost the whole day, except when I was eating, and just an exercise, on listening to the tape and getting into it. We don't have enough time, but I know this, that if you ask God for time, He'll give you a job where you get time to work on the job and with it. And also when you're exercising, you can be praying during the exercise. You will have time. You will have all the time you need. It's happened to me many, many times. I was in the recovery room. I'd have whole nights, so I could do just what I pleased because there wasn't anybody there. And I tell you, there is no missing this. There is no missing this. Since this accident, and I had it coming because I walked over somebody's yard, and I knew darn well it wasn't the right thing to do. But I kept on going. You know how stubborn a person is. And with this channeling, it just like Galileo who saw the heavens, but his supposed friend just that really ran him through hell because he said he was against the church. It wasn't in the Bible. But it is in the Bible. This we're taking is in the Bible. They say you blaspheme. But how many know who will stop and look at that I am and realizes what comes after they're creating? And this deep channeling, though, Don, is marvelous, just marvelous. And I think that we people here who have listened to the channeling, not new ones, Don, not for us, but we think we should get together and spend a day just going over channeling. I mean, so that it gets right in, because it's different than the second and third and fourth time. And we've got to get it into our system. We got 24 hours a day, but how much do we put in? I don't put in anything on work. And since I've been doing this, I've been saying clean. Just have one word stand for what I want. Clean. And I've been cleaning my house. The outside, I let it go messy because I still things down as fast as I pick them up. But I've been cleaning the drawers gradually, where I haven't been cleaning for a year, except that I had somebody else do. And everything is coming right, just smooth, without any trouble, without any struggling at all. And it isn't me. Oh, another thing, I cooked eggs tonight. And, I forgot to ask God to help me before. And I never in my life had such tough getting out of an egg, 2 of them. And I couldn't, it just wouldn't come up. I never heard solved like that. But you see, I think it gets worse. And another time here, I had blisters because I said, well, God, I want to know what you want me to do. I'll just push the dirt under the rug. But I want to get going on the spiritual thing. Well, I got blisters from it. That wasn't that way to do a thing.
Annabelle, my dear one, you have had an enlightenment, and you have experienced much in these past few days. Hold on to it and keep it your own. You've come to a place in your life where you have earned this so-called time to do what you want to do and to saturate yourself with this, and it has made a difference for you. And the so-called seeming adversity of the diagnosis was the key, or should we say, the push that made this come about and helped you to realize the importance of cleaning your house, both inside and outside. When you do clean your house on the outside, is a symbol of cleaning the inner mind. And as you saturate your mind with the goodness of God's love and continue to express it, both inward and outward, then you become as God is. You become a channel for God to manifest through in all of his glory. And it matters not your age, your physical condition. None of this makes any difference to you or to anyone else if they decide that they know the truth and decide to hold to it. And this, dear one, is an outer manifestation for you to see and to realize that no matter what the condition is, you can learn to manifest God's love in the outer physical. Are there any other questions or comments?
I have a question, and
Yeah.
that's due to the reading that you had earlier about incarnate and discarnate.
Yes.
I've read in other books that when you pass over, let's say when you graduate, and you pass over, that there is whatever it is that your beliefs that you hold as a kind and whatever that you're going to encounter.
It,
Correct?
wherever your level of consciousness is, not at the moment what you believe. And this is a fine line again. Your level of consciousness of your overall belief, and it doesn't just depend on this incarnation. It is involved with your total self. But what you have done in this incarnation, and when you leave this physical plane, where your level of consciousness is, has something to do with it. Yes, I did not get into the title of the class as much as I intended to in the talk. And the truth is that what you do with your incarnation now depends on where you will, what level you will gravitate to when you graduate. Also, what you've done in other incarnations and where you are in the overall scheme of life. Let me give you an example that Donald has told you, that Elva told the story of the entity who was almost a master, but he did not have quite enough humility. So he planned a whole lifetime as a drunken bum in the gutter, and he never got out of that gutter. But when he graduated, he was a full master because he had the humility that he needed. So you see, it all depends on many factors, on many things, and not just what is happening at the moment that you graduate. Do you understand?
Yes, I do. Thank you. And I have another question,
Yeah.
and that's pertaining. I know that a lot of what we do here is what counts as to our level of consciousness. But while we're incarnate, we also experience the discarnate when we're asleep. I find that
Yes.
a lot of the times when I'm remembering my dreams more and more, and I find myself in class a lot.
Yes. Yes, this is true. And this is why the class, Donald called it, ultra-dimensional awareness, was brought into being. And a few got the message. Most were not able to demonstrate it. But it planted seeds, and it is one of the most spiritual classes that he has. And if you learn to remember and bring back the memory of what you do at night while you're away from your body, it can help you to hang on to the reality, the real truth of life, while you're going through your daytime experience. And this is why the class was brought into being. When you work with what you have from the physical level, then you will begin to gradually tune in to the other dimensions and bring that understanding through to your conscious awareness. It may be very subtle at first. You may not recognize that's what it is. And this is where so many miss the mark who are striving to grow, is they feel and have impressions, but they do not give the credit that it's coming from the other dimensions. Remember this truth, that everything comes from above down or from within out. It has to happen on the higher dimensions before it can happen on the physical. And as you realize this, when you sit down to meditate, or to be quiet, or to read a lesson or listen to a tape, you are in a sense, tuning in to the other dimensions, because you do not have your attention on the physical and all the so-called problems of the physical. And so you are on these other dimensions in your thoughts. And as you come back to the physical conscious awareness, bring that feeling with you and hang on to it. And hang on to those memories in the class. And send love into these nighttime journeys so that you will remember more of what was taught in the classes. If I am correct, you pick up fragments of what is taught in the classes. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yes. And as you practice this more and more and give, shall we call, seriousness to it, then will you remember more until the other dimensions will become just as clear or more clear than the physical. This is a great thing to do. And in this new age, you will all remember what you do at night. And you will be able to sit down and get quiet and go to the other dimensions whenever you want to for a visit and learn and grow and expand. Are there other thoughts or questions this evening? There is much, much to look forward to. For my dear ones, your journey is just beginning into this new age. You have gone through many, many new ages, but it is not in your conscious awareness for most. And as you grow and hang on to raising your vibrations and keeping pace with the vibratory rate that is moving very rapidly, if you can continue to raise your consciousness with that pace, you will accelerate your growth very rapidly and will be able to experience this beautiful golden age that will be much more than any golden age in the history of this planet.
That chakra exercise will help us do that, won't it?
All of the exercises that you do help you. Whatever appeals to you as an individual and what seems to work for you will help. Everyone is a different individual, and everyone has different needs and ideas and concepts. And so whatever works for you is what you want and need. Are there other thoughts or questions this evening?
I have a question.
Yes.
As we face an opportunity, if we don't handle it quite as well as we could have, but as we get away from it, we see that a way that we could have done better. I'm looking at things that I've done and opportunities that I could have approached in a different light or a different way. And I see ways that I could have handled them better. Does that mean that I have learned the lesson and I don't have to necessarily face that particular opportunity again?
This is a fine line, my dear one. The passing the test is what you're talking about. And passing the test means that when you can go through that situation without being emotionally disturbed or reacting in a negative way and seeing through the falseness of this physical plane, then you are free. Now, you may do it once and then you revert back. Do not be disappointed if this happens. Keep on keeping on. until it is built into the inner self of you, into your consciousness, and it becomes a knowing, not just an intellectual understanding. One of the greatest deterrents for man on your plane is that he gets disappointed, he and she get disappointed with themselves because they do not do as well as they think they should, and they hold guilt about it, or self-condemnation. This is not necessary and does work against you. No one, my dear ones, judges you but yourself. If anyone else does, that's their problem, not yours. God does not judge you, but the inner self of you helps you to realize when you're going against the grain of life, and when you see this and understand that, yes, I could have done this better, then you have a starting point. And always, always be grateful for being able to see this. And the next time you'll do better, and the next time better, until you have overcome it, and it no longer has any power over you. Does this help your understanding?
Yes, thank you very much.
Yes. Is the tape close to... Did we run out of tape?
No, we're still running.
Uh-huh. Good. Are there other questions or comments that you would have?
I just have a comment to make, is that when you were talking about heeding those nudges that we get,
Yes.
it just so happened that this afternoon a friend of mine and I were walking back from lunch, and that's exactly what we were talking about, is trusting. A lot of times I don't know why I do some of the things I do, but I trust that what I'm doing is the right thing, because I have had the same opportunities other times and I haven't followed that. But when the right one comes along, I usually seem to follow that. And we were talking about it takes trust to do that.
Yes. Discernment is an important word in your language for you to comprehend, and learning to discern when you are getting nudges from the other dimensions, from your friends, your teachers and guides from this side. They are indeed your dear friends, and may have been for many, many ages, and they're there just to love you, never to condemn you. But when you are open and ask for help, they can come through so much more clearly and give you that nudge and help you to understand and to know the best way to accomplish what you want to accomplish. Even when you grow into this, you will be able to do as Donald is doing now in your conscious state. And I'm sure that I know that some of you have done it and realized it later, have said things that you were not that conscious of saying, but your teachers and your guides have said them through you. Have you not experienced this?
You knew they didn't belong to you, that somebody was dictating to you.
Yes. But when you're open and you're striving to move forward, you're learning to love, and you're learning to live the life of love. All things are possible. All things. Are there other thoughts or comments that you would have? Let us then leave this part of the class with the thought that whether you are incarnate or discarnate makes no difference. When you are wearing the body of flesh, you are open to all the things on this physical plane. But when you're understanding of the truth of life, you do not have to experience them. You do not have to experience the negativity and the fears all around you. Learn to keep an aura of light and love that extends around you, where nothing can come in that is unloving. Everything that comes into your field of light and love that extends around you is of God. When you allow the fears of the world to come in, you can immediately send God's love in to cancel them out and see in your mind's eye this light, this field of light and love surrounding you and helping you to know the truth and realizing that the truth sets you free. God bless each and every one of you. We love you dearly. Good night.
I would hate to then. I want to purple you. Are you back with us?
Not quite, Annabelle. Give me a little time.
Like the jacket. Oh, yeah, Poopy. I'm teaching it for you with your hair.
Well, how did I do letting the dawn come through?
Very well.
Oh, that's good.
Who came through loud and clear. He seemed to be very strong tonight. Yeah. That he came through loud and clear. He seemed to be very strong tonight.
Good. If he can do that, regardless of where I'm at, seems like more.
That tape that Stephen made was very good too.
Yes, it is. Shall we stand and hold on it? As we come together holding hands, let us know that we're bringing down into the physical the spirit of God's love and all of the discarnate entities who are helping us, who are moving towards us with love, who are helping us to understand as we open the doors for them to come through. Let us send God's love ahead of us into this week, into our every thought, word, and deed, into every situation, into every encounter. Let us fill this room to overflowing with God's love, and let it spread out over the city, covering this planet, and moving out to the whole universe, knowing that God's love is all-powerful and all-wise, and that we are divine love. Thank you, folks.
But that one's all the public to do it in the world over. I see. This one good. For trade up that this will be to the saints down.
No, I won't be able to now. I'll waste my fight, Jim. Maybe I'll do.
I don't always love the system in the problem. Over there. Here. But I you do the but no.
Yeah, and the brother.
Oh, it's a mother. I mean, I can do that. Yeah, whatever. looked it up.
Then how are you?
You sure? I couldn't hear it.
Good, Bill. Nice to see you.
What?
It'll work, yeah.
That's good.
There's a lot of
Invested in health. Up to the 19th out of the. You will. I'll gotta call it. Well, I mean, I don't want to take it anyway. Or I do.
If they can do it, fine. In a sunbar, they're low. That's all right. Fired up, fired up.
All the people would play.
What do I wait? We're still recording. Oh. Probably about 180.
That's,
I guess, thanks.
You can.
Sometimes I feel like it's. Yeah. Thanks, Don. Okay, me too.
I did.
Well.